Hello, my name is Jerry Morris, and this is Settled Christianity, coming at you with a new video that I'm really excited to bring. This week's topic is a kind of personal one. It is about my personal journey into Christian apologetics. And so obviously the first question is, what is apologetics? Uh, you know, and it's a very specific type of field of study that just to simply define it, apologetics is giving a defense of the gospel or giving a defense of a belief. And so we find in the books of Peter where he talks about that you have to give a defense of the hope, give a reason of the hope that lies within you. And this is really talking about apologetics. And we see a lot of what the apostles do, and many even of the prophets do in the Old Testament. They are doing apologetics by defending their belief in not only a God, but in the doctrines of Christianity and in their view of the world. And later on in a future video, I'll probably go into more specifics about biblical apologetics, arguments for apologetics, but I felt like this was a good video to start with about how did I get into apologetics. And so I grew up in a Baptist church. Growing up, I had a few different churches I ended up going to. We left for not even any bad reason, just like my dad felt that he was being called on to another church to help there. And we ended up at Victory Independent Baptist Church in Ansted, West Virginia, or Victor, which is right outside the town of Ansted, technically. And it was a good church. And I was around the time of 12, 13, 14, so just entering preteen, teen area right there. And I struggled about serving God. Several of those years I just was not dedicated to God. I did not really follow God. I didn't really care about the Bible. It's not that I didn't believe in God. I just didn't consider him in any part of my life, really. And it was not until about my mid-teen years, 15, 16, when I started really getting serious about God. And it was around this time that I started really exploring logical problems with Christianity, such as the problem of evil, or contradictions in the Bible, or arguments against the existence of God. And as I explored this, as I looked online at these different arguments, as people argued that God did not exist, I began feeling really attacked about why do I believe in God? Why am I a Christian? Is there any reason to believe in Christianity? And it was kind of through this time period where I was struggling with why am I a Christian? Why am I, following God? What is my beliefs? What am I going to believe about Christianity? What am I going to believe about the Bible, about God, about the world? It was through this that I really stumbled upon my first real apologist, my first real man or woman who had apologetic background or giving a defense of the gospel. And that's Zacharias. And he was my first introduction to apologetics. Zacharias, you can find him at his ministries, Ravi Zacharias Ministries and International Ministries. And he does speeches and Q&As about problems with Christianity and how to reach out to people who aren't Christians. And it was through watching his videos and reading his articles that I started really understanding that, Christianity is not hopeless. Christianity is not anti-intellectual. It was his videos that really got me going on this idea that, there are reasons to believe in God. And it was actually one of his videos, this very short video that I still show people to this day, which is why is Christianity the correct religion? I think it's only about 5 minutes long, and he lays out a good case for believing why Christianity is true. So along with that, it was around that same time that a friend of my family's gave me a book called I Don't Have Enough Faith to Be Atheist. This was by, I think, Norman Geisler and I think Frank Turek. And as I began reading through this book, it became more obvious to me. It became more reaffirmed in my life and in my mind that Christianity had reasons to believe, that Christians had a reasonable position. It was this book I still recommend as a beginning resource for somebody interested in apologetics. I believe I Don't Have Enough Faith to Be Atheist book is just a great ground level source. It begins right at the beginning of asking what is truth, and it builds from there all the way to the existence of God via history and science and philosophy, all these different areas pointing back towards God. And this book really sparked in my mind what ideas that would bring me to where I am now. Ideas such as the point of apologetics and how to do apologetics methods. It was in the book where they talked about how, you look at the Big Bang Theory. It says you don't have to agree with all aspects of the Big Bang Theory. The main idea to take away is that the universe began. And the Big Bang Theory, as much as it causes problems for Christians about some doctrines that people debate about, it causes a massive problem with atheists. Because suddenly, they don't know how to explain the beginning of the universe. And this idea, as we'll find later, is referred to as mere Christianity. It's this idea of arguing from the fundamentals of the faith. It was this idea that, some of this doctrine stuff can be debated, but at the end of the day, you have to believe that there is a God, and you have to believe that that God is Jesus Christ, and He came to save you. Past this point, I was still reading Zacharias, watching his videos, and it got to a point where I started kind of not really getting bored of his stuff. His stuff is still great. I still go back to it occasionally, but I needed something a little bit more. A lot of Ravi Zacharias, he admits that he deals with a lot of the popular level arguments, problems of evil and the such. I needed a little bit more than that. And it was through a friend at school. It was actually through my bus driver who recommended me to look up a guy by the name of William Lane Craig. His website, his ministry is A Reasonable Faith, and you can find it at reasonablefaith.org. And it was during that time when I was late 16, early 17, that I started really delving into the work of William Lane Craig. And I've stuck with it since then. He's considered one of the greatest philosophers of our age. He's a great apologist. I have several of his books, particularly this one, the Reasonable Faith book, which is considered one of the best books to get in regards to apologetics and in regards to defending the faith. And I was watching his videos, watching his debates, reading his articles, and it was particularly around that time when I was 18, probably, is that when 19 is when I really started delving into the scholarly side of apologetics. Reasonable Faith offers a lot of actual academic level papers on why God exists, reasons to believe. And it was in that area that I started trying to push myself to understand these deeper ideas, these deeper reasons to believe, deeper ideas of philosophy and history and science. And since then, since about that point, I've been off to college, and I have been able to reach out to several other books and look into them. Particularly right now, I just was finishing up A Case for Miracles by Lee Strobel, who, even though I haven't done a lot with his work, he's considered an amazing apologist, a great popular level, great entry level, especially with his book, The Case for Christ. And you find that his books and his articles and now his movie has really helped millions of people to find the faith that they needed for God, to come to a faith in God. And actually, just this past week, as some of you might have seen on my Facebook page, I was able to meet William Lane Craig and had him sign my book, which is wonderful. He's been a great help in my life. more than I can express. And at this point in my life, really what my hope is to start reaching out to those who maybe was in the position I was in. Uh, People who are struggling with their faith, trying to find reasons to believe. And so then this is part of why settled Christianity exists, is because I believe that everyone just needs one person to get them interested in apologetics. And I was hoping that I could be that person who does the interesting video, who writes the interesting article, who writes the interesting thoughts that could get somebody interested into thinking, why do I believe like I do? Why do I believe God exists? What are the reasons behind my belief? And here at the end, I'll just throw out some people who have been influenced. Obviously, William Lane Craig, Lee Strobel's book has been great. Zacharias remained great. John Lennox is brilliant in terms of apologetics from mathematics. I like Edward Feser for his more philosophical debates, for more philosophical ideas. I go to Edward Feser. Aaron Wall at wall.org, I believe it is. Don't quote me on that. But he's a postdoctoral physicist and has a great in-depth look at science and that pointing back to God. Cameron Baruzzi, who does Capturing Christianity. Just a great popular level guy, very, very good and concise at stating things. And Eric Hernandez, I'll throw that out. Very also a little known apologist that I follow. He's just good at getting people to look at Christianity through an interesting light, looking at Christianity in an interesting way. And probably finally Craig Keener, whose work I'm getting more into. He's extremely scholarly, very, very brilliant in how he writes, how he speaks, and just generally been an interesting resource, even though I'm not that far into it. But anyways, it's kind of a long video already, so I'm going to cut it off here. And I pray that you get something from it. I pray that you kind of look into some of these resources, find an idea, an argument that you enjoy, and really find why you believe what you believe. And if you like this video, you can go over to Facebook and subscribe, or I guess follow and like the Settled Christianity Facebook page over there. And here, if you like what you see, come back weekly for more videos on Saturday and Sunday. And like this video and subscribe to the channel.